What's good everyone? Today we're changing stuff up a bit. We're going to be doing a different type of video, but it's definitely not much of a change compared to Pikachu, who back then was definitely in need of a trip to the Pokemon gym. Now he's all slimmed down. There are lots of these to cover, so today I'm joined by BirdKeeperToby.
Hey Pokemon Masters, the Hood, BirdKeeperToby here, and Callum is right. For example, check out Lapras, a Pokemon that we all know and love for being gentle, actually looks pretty fierce with that row of teeth in the fossil set of cards.
That's not the only difference in Pokemon cards. In the original Ken Sugimori art, Graveler appeared to have much darker claws. Mew also had different color body parts. Rather than just being all pink, it was more of a white color with just a pink tip tail and pink tip feet. And in its red and blue sprite, its head appeared to have ridges rather than ears.
And it's not just Mew. Mewtwo also originally was a whiter color with a faded purple tail. It was only after the first movie it began to solidify with that purple color. Speaking of color, you may already know the fact that Jinx used to be the color black instead of purple, and this was changed because people thought that Jinx was racist. But it wasn't just Jinx that changed color. Snorlax also used to be far more black than the green that we know now.
In terms of Pokemon that change rapidly, Arbok has minor differences between generations. Arbok really can't seem to make up his mind. In the original red and blue Ken Sugimori artwork, he appears to have a face on his hood. But in actual Gen 1 games, it has more of a fiery design going on with two W's on the back of his hood. Which then, in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, it goes back to the original face look but loses the W's. Only then to change back to the fire red and leaf green with a fiery pattern, except without the W's again. Then Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald came along and back to the face look, and now finally Generation 4 comes and it appears they finally settled on which design they would like it to be.
Electabuzz also does something similar. In every version of the game, it appears to have a different amount of stripes. You could never quite count how many there are because it's always standing in different positions in the stripes, but it's definitely got a different amount each time. This Pokemon just can't make up its mind. And not only Electabuzz, but also its pre-evolution Elekid also went through some sprite changes. After Generation 2, for example, its shiny and normal form swapped over.
Elekid is not the only one to do this. In Gold and Silver, Smeargle used to have a brighter colored body with a red tip on his tail, and his shiny had a duller colored body with a green tip on his tail. But in the next generation of games, they reversed Smeargle's regular sprite with his shiny sprite. His regular sprite became the dull colored body with a green tip, whereas his shiny was the brighter color with the red tip. Two other Pokemon with interesting sprite changes are Coughing and Kakuna. I believe Coughing was a mistake, as this is the only time he ever appears like this, with the skull and cross above his head, rather than below. Kakuna, on the other hand, seems to have purposely been designed like this. Rather than its usual tie look, it has appendages which also appear on its official art.
Remember how earlier we talked about Pikachu losing weight? Well, its belly shrinking wasn't the only thing that made its tummy less noticeable. For example, it used to have a massive white patch on its stomach in red, blue, and green versions. Similarly, Wigglytuff had a big tummy patch. I mean, it still does, but before it used to end above the mouth, and now it ends below it.
Hey, y'all are forgetting stuff. Don't forget to mention Charmander and Vaporeon. Both of these Pokemon have had a few sprite changes. In its original art, Charmander actually used to have a spike on its back, but Vaporeon had a few more changes. It used to have white paws with noticeable fins coming from its legs, plus the tip of its tail was white and it had longer fins running along its back. It actually looked really cool. Okay, I'm done, I'm sorry. I'm leaving now. Have fun with the rest of the video, guys. Bye-bye.
Who was that guy?
I don't know.
Moving on. Both Pink Butterfree and Purple Kecleon appeared in different points in the anime with no explanation. At least other color variations of Pokemon were explained, like how a bunch of Pokemon were pink during the Orange Islands. It was because they ate berries. The Purple Kecleon also appears in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, but there's still no reasoning behind it. Neither of these are their shiny forms either, so what's the deal?
Now let's move on to beta images and early artwork, including Excadrill, who used to be a deep blue colour rather than the brown that we know him for. And when the Johto region was just coming out, loads of Pokemon looked different in their original artworks. Check out Chikorita, Blossom, and Girafarig. How cool is that? And also in Gen 2 is this artwork of a Pokemon that is almost definitely the beta form of Tortuga from Generation 5. That's amazing that they would carry a design across the generations like that.
In Generation 3, there are some designs that are massively different. Torchic used to have different feathers coming from its head, and its evolved form Blaziken existed only as a fusion between itself and Latios. How awesome does this look? Also, found in Gen 3 coding were back sprites of Shellos and Gastrodon, who were initially planned to be a part of the game. And finally, as a bonus one, we have Missingno, which has taken on several different forms looking like this in Generation 1 and 2, then becoming the non-filled in Pokedex question mark in Generation 3. I wonder what it looks like today. Well, this is it for early Pokemon forms, but do you know which Pokemon can replicate others the best? Ditto, of course. And over on Bird Memer Trevor's channel, I help him discuss some unknown secrets about Ditto and what it gets up to in the daycare. It is on his channel right now, so just click the annotation on screen or the link at the top of the description if you are on mobile. I'll see you guys there.